Whenever we have a relationship with something else, whether it be, again, family members or community members or relationships between countries or relationships between humans and nature, that's useful sometimes to have a philosophy to guide that. And there is a relatively new philosophy that's being proposed by which we might use to guide our relationship with nature. And that philosophy is known as the North American model. And the North American model has a number of principles to them. And some of the principles are tremendously important, but they're sometimes a little bit misunderstood. And so, for example, one of the principles is the notion that wildlife is held in the public trust, which basically means that every citizen has a stake in how we treat wildlife. Not just hunters, not even just people who are bird watchers and wildlife watchers, but every single citizen has a stake in how it is that we relate to nature. And so what's very important and really quite challenging is that government agencies properly take into account the interests of all of the stakeholders. And what's just as important is that stakeholders kind of engage themselves in kind of an appropriate way to make sure that their interests are heard, even if it may feel like an environment where their interest might not be so held in such high regard. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because the public trust doctrine says that the interests of all citizens count. There are other principles of the North American model that are interesting and highlight challenges in relating to nature. One of them is that all decisions should be based on the best available science. There's another principle that says that all decisions should be based on principles of democracy. And so it raises these challenging questions about what do you do, for example, when perhaps the will of the people seems to maybe be a little bit at odds with what science is suggesting that's going on. That's not an easy or simple idea to reconcile, but they're both tremendously important ideas in American society. That is science and democracy. And I think the one thing that's important about recognizing those two principles is that you don't want to leave it up to just a few experts or technocrats to kind of make decisions about science and democracy. It really requires the engagement of every citizen to kind of participate in the democratic discourse.